Hey everyone, I know you know who it is, the Lambs. So I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up and let you know that I'm changing the format of my stream a little bit, or my channel. Um, I just kind of went back and did an audit of all of my videos and stuff, and there's things that worked well and things that didn't really work well. So here, you guys stop doing that. No, 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 sit down. Sorry. Um, my dogs they're going to be probably part of this sometimes. So um, they're weird and they do weird things. Okay, let's not do that on camera. So what I want to talk about today is some relationship basics. So, if you're younger or older, it doesn't really matter. This is really for a broad spectrum of people. But I'm going to give you guys some insight to what women like and kind of how women think, so that gentlemen out there, you can maybe tailor some of the things that you've already been doing, or some things that maybe you didn't know at all. If you're trying to really be out there looking for a lady and you're looking for somebody, to complement your life, I am, I'm here to guide you through some of that. Okay. So I want to start out with some questions that I get asked often, about women. And one of them is, why do women get so mad about a missed anniversary? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you the reason that women get mad about that is because to us and to most women, and really to most men, I believe, that are really 10 toes in a relationship, it's disconcerting and sad to us when a man doesn't remember the day, that we either got married or the day that we met, whatever it is that we're supposed to be celebrating. Women take that personally because it is personal. When you don't give acknowledgement to something that is supposed to be the best thing in your life, the most important thing in your life, your relationship, that's women take that really personal. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, because and I'm just going to address these in a short fashion. But if you're in a relationship and that person is not the most amazing, wonderful thing to you, I would suggest reevaluating your relationship with whomever you're with. Because really, if you're not just head over heels and you don't think that person is just absolutely amazing every day when you wake up and every day when you go to bed, of course we have our tiffs and our differences. But for the most part, if you don't think that person embodies your values and is the person that you've always dreamed of being with, then I would suggest, reevaluating, because these things do matter. And if you're wondering, why this has been such a point of contention in your relationship or whatever, it's because to a woman, that the relationship doesn't mean anything to you if you don't remember things like this. We have cell phones and smartwatches and stuff. You have a way to remind yourself of your anniversary or the day you met or whatever is important. And you have to remember that things that are important to her may not be that important to you, but it needs to be important enough for you to remember what's important to her. Because if you're really dedicated to a relationship and you're 10 toes in, that's going to matter to you too, what's important to her, right? Okay, so moving on to the next thing. Why don't women get that? Why don't women understand that porn is not cheating? Well, a woman wants to be the most important person in your life. Women do not understand how a man's sex drive is, okay? And I have some insight into that. But a man's sex drive, men are driven really to do two things: to procreate and to kill the food, right? So, it's to procreate and kill it, or kill it and procreate. That's really how men are driven, to continue the species. And women really have no idea what that means. How when a man gets horny, he just needs something to release that pressure, because it's a lot of pressure, right? And it needs to come out. So I don't, this is partly women don't understand, but partly it's, a woman, I'll tell you from a woman's perspective, she feels that a man should, want to have sex with her all the time if you're in a relationship. And of course, you probably do. But sometimes I think that men just want to, get it done quick and be done with it. So my suggestion for this is, whether porn is right or wrong or whatever, I'm going to just tell you some facts about porn, okay? So that maybe open your eyes. And how I found this out was because I was writing a book and I was invited, what I thought was to go and witness two girls, starting a porn career, and I was going to use this for my book. My book was, I had a business centered around essentially trying to get women who wanted to get out of the porn industry into programming boot camps, right? It was a really nearsighted goal, and it was a really nice intention and everything, and I can tell you later why what didn't work. But so I was able to see this, or that's what they said. They basically, it was a scam essentially. They were trying to get me in porn, and they try to drug you and everything else. So let me tell you some facts about porn, okay? One, it's the most demeaning ever to men. Men get paid 40% of what women get paid in the porn industry. Women only get paid about $1,500 a film. So you have to, you think about if you need to make $150,000 a year, how many films you have to do in a month. And the sexually transmitted diseases are absolutely through the roof. I actually ended up throwing up on set, and that's what saved my life. But I'm going to tell you right now, and it's the most demeaning to black men, because women and men in porn are seen as just sex objects. I mean, the whole industry is run by, maybe 10 or 20, kingpin kind of guys that they're, white Jewish guys that, they basically run it, and they see everybody as, just a mule, essentially. So I just want to say that if you're engaging in that, so I'll tell you that I haven't had a desire or even an urge, to engage in any of that since that situation happened to me, and that was over a year ago. But it is very demeaning to human beings. But I'm telling you right now, it's the absolute worst to men. And I asked them, so why don't you pay the men the same amount? Well, because nobody cares about the man. I said, okay, well then why don't you just go ahead and make, non-male porn and just do women if nobody cares about the man? Oh, because they want to see a man, they want to see that. So they do care about a man, right? So the reason that men get paid less is because of the stigma that is a patriarchal stigma in our society, that men aren't supposed to be gay. And so thus in heterosexual porn, the man doesn't matter. So he gets paid 40%. I mean, he's just as important as the woman to the people watching it, but gets paid 40% of what the woman gets paid. And like I said, they try all the time to get black men in porn and not pay them at all, because they think that they're sexually promiscuous and sexually that they're very, what am I trying to say? That they love sex all the time anyway. That they're highly sexualized. That's what I was trying to say, highly sexualized. So they do not think that they should have to pay them at all because they want to have sex anyway. Watching, something like this get made is one of the most depressing things I've ever seen, in the fact that it takes the guy, hours and hours and hours to get an erection. And so it was really, it was a fascinating experience, something that I was really shocked, and I never need to experience that again. And, I understand why. That made me understand why my idea for my business was not going to work, because women are so demeaned and essentially abused in that industry that in order to get women to actually want to do it, they have to get them addicted to drugs. And that's not a joke. If you've noticed in the news or anything recently, you know that there's a few porn stars that have died from drug overdoses. And that's because it's hard to conduct yourself as a human being and do that and be a part of that, in your working career. And so women, after 5 years, women's careers are usually done because it's so harsh on their bodies. But one of the things is that women are not in a situation or a mental position to go into programming when they're done with a career like that and then start, learning computer programming. I think it takes, either they end up staying in the industry, sometimes they get married, but, I understand kind of that situation with the person that, Trump had that incident with or whatever, and she ended up suing him because you don't make enough money to even, $150,000, $160,000 a year. It seems like a lot of money, but that's not, you guys out there think that these women make millions of dollars. That's not the truth. Maybe if they have quite a few different endeavors, in terms of photos and stuff like that. But just regular old movies that they're making. And also, you make one film and you write your rights away to that, and they can do whatever they want to it. They can make as many smash ups and, all kinds of things that they want out of that, mixes and all kinds of things. So you're giving rights away, to basically 30 minutes of your life where people can see every part of your body and they can do whatever they want with that afterwards. And so in order for you to make another $1,500, you have to make another film. So I'm just going to put that out there. So if you want to be honoring to your relationship and your wife or your spouse or your girlfriend or whoever, and vice versa to women, I would say make your own porn and watch it, honestly. I've done that in the past with guys, and one guy. And I know that he liked to video us because of the work that he did and he was away. I know he watched porn all the time. And I did tell him, how demeaning it is to men, and he happens to be black. And I said, it's most demeaning to black men. But because they're just seen as something for, their third leg. That's it. They're not seen as human beings at all. Neither really are women. White guys, they're treated a little bit better, only because, there's some reference there for the people making the films and, ultimately owning the rights and everything. So, they're treated a little bit better, but not really much. They do get offered actually more money than black guys. And, they said, well, that's just how the industry is. No, you can change that if you want to. I think that that's the most insane work ever. I think women that do that should get paid, at least $5,000 to $10,000 a film. That's crazy. And the damage that it does to your body and stuff like that, not to mention the emotional and mental well-being that you're giving up. Because nobody feels good doing that. I'm going to tell you that right now. So when people say, oh, well, women like gangbangs and all this other stuff, are you kidding me? How does a woman ever feel good about herself like that? Besides the fact that when you have multiple people inside of your body like that, the damage, you have to take medication because you get bacterial vaginosis and everything else. People need to be talking about the realities of life, and the realities of life is it's healthier to be in a monogamous relationship for both people's bodies, because men can be carriers and stuff, because, their junk is on the outside. So I just want to put that out there, that the reason that women get jealous about that stuff is because you're looking at another woman's private parts. That's why. And she wants you to be thinking about her, plain and simply. If you're not thinking about her, then again, I would have you reevaluate that. I understand the need with men. So, personally, I'm not going to lose my, lose my lose it on a guy because I caught him watching porn. Now, I'll tell you right now, I've never caught a man doing that. I've never caught a man, masturbating or anything else. So I don't, if I caught somebody, I mean, that's not going to be, it's not going to blow the roof off the house. Does it feel like, why didn't he come to me or something like that? Yeah, it does. Especially if I caught him doing it. Because if I'm there and I'm catching you doing that, I don't understand why we're not doing that, right? Now, sometimes guys do that to like edge. If you've never heard of that, it's like, to get to the point where it's to be able to go longer, right? So they want to come first and then they can go longer with their woman. Okay, and I get that. So, I would just express that to your lady. Communication is the healthiest thing in a relationship, period. So if you guys aren't talking about this stuff, then, that's a problem. So open the lines of communication, with these things and tell her what's really going on. And maybe she's going to have a much more, understanding heart. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Why does my girlfriend not want to have a threesome? Well, again, that goes to the same thing. If you want to have a threesome in your relationship, because relationships are about two people getting to the nitty-gritty of things and learning how to live with each other. Men and women do not understand each other that well. It really does take a lifetime to understand your partner and to understand, understand a man, or for a woman or man to understand a woman. Because men say women are complex. We're really not that complex, but we're thinkers, especially about sex and love and things like that. And we do associate sex with love. And men, they're not as much, because their drive is to just procreate, continue that species. And so that drive is so crazy. And what's funny is it flips, right? So men are like that until they're in their 40s, and women in their 40s, they start getting, that's their sexual, when they start their real sexual peak is 40s and beyond, up until, their 80s even. Women, their sex drive kicks into high gear in their 40s. And so, that's why there's this obsession in society right now, with this mommy image and all this stuff. I mean, we can go into that too. A lot of that has to do with women being inappropriate with their sons, and that's the truth. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that, women are so sexy in their 40s and beyond, because that's when their, sex drive really kicks in. So I just want to mention that. So if you want to have a threesome with your spouse, no woman is going to enjoy seeing her man, because she associates sex with love. Seeing her man having sex with another woman, she may allow it because she feels like her comforts might go away, right? The things that she depends on, her house, her whatever. It doesn't mean that she's enjoying it, right? Now, I'm not speaking for every single woman, so don't, but for the most part, if you're in a relationship where you're trying to establish trust, how is that trust? How does that establish any trust? And you have to ask yourself this question: would you like your wife to be having sex with another man in front of you? If the answer is yes, I would question how much you actually love your wife. Now, guys say all the time with sex and love are two totally different things. To a man, they are. They're not to a woman, but also to a man. When a man finds a woman that he really loves and wants to be with for the rest of his life type thing, he doesn't want to see her with somebody else, right? If you're willing to share your woman, then that's not probably the woman for you. Because a woman for you should make you want to change to be a better man. A woman should make, a woman that you're in love with, and a woman needs to understand this too, that, we're generally guiding men from little, and then we continue doing that when we get our partners. Because as we've said with evolution, men are driven mostly to just procreate. So women are in a position because where we're really the leaders. There's a saying, behind every great man is a good woman. That's because she's leading by example, and she's leading by value system. And so, where do women get a good value system? I mean, that's a good question, right? A lot of times people find it in a church, whatever. That's not always the best place to find your values, because there's a lot of people who lie in places like that too, and pretend to be something that they're not. And so a place that, and I've talked about this before, but a place that I like to go to find values is, literature and reading, and, people that embody that. And somebody that, a book that's on many people's bucket list books to read before you die. And I would say read it sooner than later for sure. It's the easiest read you'll ever read, is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So I'll leave it at that. Men and women should both read that book, in my opinion. That's a great start for, if you don't know what your values and, what your guidance on life is, and a lot of people don't, that's very normal. I would start with something like that. That's a great start. Okay, so the last one is about flowers. Okay, men, do not send your lady flowers when you have messed up. That makes us get to a point where we hate getting flowers. And there's a saying, don't give me flowers when I'm dead. Like, don't put flowers on my grave. Don't bring flowers to me when I can't enjoy them. Bring your lady flowers if she likes flowers. Now, some women don't. I love flowers. I have flowers all over my house, and, live plants and stuff all over my house, because I love being around living things, and I love beautiful flowers. I think it's the most amazing thing that these beautiful objects grow from the earth, and I love getting flowers. I love getting flowers when it's a nothing day, just for a random reason. That's the best time to give your lady flowers, just because you love her. It shouldn't have to be her birthday. It shouldn't have to be any special day. On a special day, do something amazing and different. Do something that's going to surprise her. Do not get her on her birthday or on a special day like that. Do not buy her lingerie for you, because that's what you want to see. Buy her something that she gets to enjoy by herself, right? And on a nothing day, instead of sending her flowers with, say, like a vibe tip or some lingerie or something like that, talk about that with her first and say, would that be something you would like? If it is, the very next day, don't send her, sex toys to her office or something like that. If it is, do something discreet where you're at home and you leave something maybe on the bed, on her pillow, something like that, with a little note that says, maybe we could try this later, or I'd love to try this with you later, or, you mentioned that this would be okay, so I hope I'm not offending you, but I would love to try this with you. When it comes to sex, and I'll tell you, a lot of people are sexually abused as children, men and women. You have to be cognizant of the fact that you don't know everything about your partner, because maybe they haven't told you everything because they're embarrassed or something. And so if you love somebody, you're going to treat that person, with the most utmost respect and gingerly, like a little bird in your hand. If you don't feel that way about your partner, again, I think it's time that you might need to reevaluate, because that's how we should be treating our partners. Like, not that they're fragile necessarily, but, that we want to care for them in the most amazing ways, that we want to hold them and care for them, not necessarily like a baby, but that's kind of what we are. We're all grown babies that have remnants from our childhoods, that we're looking to our partners to help us go through the life experiences of growing old so quickly. And just I'll just say this, every single person in this world, whether you're in a polygamous relationship or whatever your sexual preferences are, every single person in this world is looking for that one person that they can trust and share their life with. Everybody. Because it takes a lifetime just to understand another person. You can't understand a third, and that's a third wheel, in my opinion, in a relationship. It's too difficult. It's to really get to trust and just let yourself go with one human being. It takes a long time, and we don't have that long in this life. It takes a very long time to build that trust, to build that it should be a sanctuary, a place that you go that's sacred with your partner. You know, you don't throw something that's sacred out for other guys to grab it sexually. That's demeaning to your woman. It really is. If you value her and she has shown you that she deserves to be valued and held in a high place, because respect is earned, plain and simply. You know, if she's been acting, you know, hoish and you know, hits on other guys in front of you and stuff like that's not a great lady. She doesn't have a good value system. She's not 10 toes in either. And now she might say, well, she's acting that way because of you. No, we all have to take individual accountability for who we are and what our value system is and embody that. Okay? Period. So, you know, don't look to your friends, don't look to, you know, your dad, your mom, because they're just people. And I'm not saying don't take any values from your parents. I'm not saying that. But you have to learn how to be choosy. You have to figure out what you want. You need to write down exactly what you want as a person. And then you need to look at yourself and you need to say, would I date myself? Would I date me? And do I have the value system that I wrote down right here that deserves to have a partner? Because a lot of times we get into relationships just because we don't want to be alone, not because we're actually a whole person looking for another whole person. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm trying to keep these around 30 minutes. So, you know, if you are giving a lady flowers because you're sorry for your behavior, you need to change your behavior. That's what you need to do. You don't need to, you know, bring her flowers. The flowers don't mean anything if you don't change your behavior. And flowers, every time you do something wrong in a relationship, you send her flowers, she's going to start looking at flowers like death. Because that's the last thing that she wants. What she wants is consistency, stability, love, commitment. Love is like the last thing though. Monogamy. If that's what she wants, that's something that she wants. And if you can't provide that for her, then you need to, you know, look someplace else. But I will say this, men who don't know how to be monogamous, it's insecurity. So women need to get that right now. If a man doesn't know how to be faithful to you, it's because he is so insecure. He's afraid that if he does that with you, that you're going to take advantage of him in some way. And so he keeps making things feel unsteady. A lot of that comes from, you know, it comes from narcissistic culture, right? There's a culture that was created in America with, you know, underprivileged people that tells them to, you know, go and spread their seed everywhere and not have a stable place and not create a stable place like that for your wife or kids or your girlfriend or whatever. That's been something that, you know, has been propagated by the government, in my opinion. But, you know, you don't have to be that. You don't have to embody that. Just because your uncles and your dad and whoever's like that, you don't have to be that. And you don't have to explain anything to anybody. If you love the woman you're with and she's a good woman and she's shown you that in every way, there's no reason that you can't be honorable to her at all. And she doesn't understand that. And if you have somebody like that, and, you know, she's going to walk out the door eventually, or she's going to start treating you like you treat her, and then she's going to lower her value system for you. Why would you want a woman to do that? And vice versa for women to men. If a man loves you, why are you making him feel insecure by cheating on him and doing other things because of your own insecurities? That's what that is. Cheating is total insecurity. And any narcissist will tell you that. Because narcissists don't think about other people, but their narcissism often is a trauma response, 100%. And so they've experienced trauma, and that's why they become narcissistic. So, you know, as a way to protect themselves. But narcissism is a choice, and I will say that right now. So this isn't to talk about, you know, narcissists or, you know, what our issues are in relationships necessarily. It's to talk about, you know, how women view things. And I'm going to tell you that, you know, we view things vastly different than men. So I'm going to leave you with that today. And I hope that, you guys enjoy this part of the podcast, or this podcast in my channel. And if you have comments and questions, please leave those for me. Okay? I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye-bye. See ya.